This is your Northwest Outdoors, and on this program you'll learn how to cook salmon burgers, take a ride on a powered parachute, get a first aid tip, plus go on a day hike in Central Washington. Stay tuned for your Northwest Outdoors. Funding of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Sports Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Redmond Sports Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout the Northwest, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest. We begin this show with a visit to the Seafood Culinary School in Astoria, Oregon. There, fishing host Hobart Mans learns how to cook salmon burgers.
We're here with Eric Jenkins from the Duncan Law Consumer Seafood Center in Astoria. How are you, Eric?
I'm great, Hobart. Nice to have you here.
You promised to share a few really great recipes with us, and we're here to find out some of the tricks with seafood.
Well, we're going to sure try to do that today, Hobart.
Looks like you've got a chunk of salmon out here in front of us. Where are we going to go?
We're going to make salmon burgers today.
Salmon burgers?
Yeah.
That sounds different than hamburgers and probably more healthy too.
They are healthier and they are a little different than regular hamburgers, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on how well they taste.
You'd see these with a little heart on them on a menu someplace?
That I don't know.
Okay.
But they are heart healthy, yes.
Yes, very good. Let's see where we're going to go.
Okay, well first of all, Hobart, we're going to start with some salmon, and I took a regular fillet and I just chopped it up by hand with a knife. You could do this in a food processor, but you want to have, and I'll show you here, you want to have little chunks still.
It's got to have some texture.
It's got to have some texture. You want to be able to taste the salmon and the texture of it. So you want it a little chunky, but chopped up fine. So I recommend doing it by hand.
And you can get the chunks any size your taste desires that way too.
That's right. It doesn't have to be this small. It could be a little bigger. You don't want to get them too big because you want this to be able to bind together.
Right.
So.
And we're going to add to that some of these things.
We have some chopped green onion, some chopped roasted red bell pepper, some breadcrumbs, some shredded Parmesan cheese, or you can use grated, some cooked chopped bacon, 1 egg, some fresh chopped parsley, some Dijon country style mustard, and some chopped roasted garlic. So Hobart, we're going to add some of the green onions.
Looks like about 3/4 of a cup.
About 3/4 of a cup. We're going to add some of the roasted red bell pepper. And I love this stuff, so we'll just put all of that in there.
Okay. That looked like about a short half cup. You got Parmesan cheese.
Parmesan cheese, we're going to add some of that.
Now, you're in bacon.
We're going to add the bacon. And bacon is a nice complementary flavor to seafood, and particularly salmon.
Little hint of smoke in the background, actually.
Yeah, we're going to add an egg.
Use that for binder?
For binder. And you noticed I haven't added the breadcrumbs yet. I'm going to add those last because I don't want it to be too bready. So I'll only add as much as we need to. I'm going to add a pinch of this parsley here, a couple pinches maybe. A little of the Dijon, not too much. And some of the roasted garlic.
Now you're going to stir this up.
We're going to mix it all together.
See what your moisture content is, and then you can bring the breadcrumbs in to give you the thickening that you want.
That's right.
You don't stir that like Julia does. You get right in there and move that stuff around.
Well, I'm being nice today, Hobart. I'm not using my hands. So.
I don't like the idea of people that just tap their food or touch it with little things and say, it's combined.
So you can see it isn't sopping wet, but it's moist here.
Right.
So that's a good indication of, that's a good reason why we don't add the breadcrumbs in the beginning, because we don't want to get it too dry. We're going to get it just moist, okay? So I'm going to add some of those now. You can see it doesn't take a lot.
And that will take that moisture away and make it bind right
It
up.
will bind it a little more. Basically, we're ready to form patties now.
Okay.
And that's when I do use my hands.
Okay, that works for me.
It just is the easiest way for me to go about it.
This is the tips on field cooking anyway. So
That's
if we're
right.
using our hands in the real world,
Well,
this is the way we'd be doing it
makes
if
it
we
taste
were in
better,
camp.
I think.
Yes.
So I put it out here like this, and then I just kind of squish down while going around the patty with my thumb to keep it in together.
Yeah, that kind of takes the crack edges out and brings them together.
Right. And you can see it makes a very nice looking patty there.
Oh, it's going to look even better on the stove.
You bet. Okay, let's make another one here, Hobart. And we'll put it down, and we'll just kind of squish it down a little bit and bring up the sides.
Looks great. In the
There we
interim,
go.
in the interim time, I noticed that you had turned on the burner on the grill there, so you were trying to get it to a particular heat or
Yes.
preheat it so that the fish will work well.
When grilling most seafood, you want a medium-high heat rather than a high that you would normally cook a steak with.
Yeah.
You want it just a little less hot. And there's a couple other points, and let me point those out to you here. So we have a medium-high heat. We have a clean grill. Very important to have your grill clean. And the last thing is what I do is I take a clean old rag with some olive oil that's soaked up in it, and I just lightly wipe some over the grill. You don't want it dripping or it'll flame up, but just enough to coat the grill. And then you're ready to add the patties.
Okay, let's put them on there. I'm sure that we can hardly wait to taste what that's going to turn out to be. And they do look gorgeous. Those look great. And how long is the average cooking time on those?
About 10 to 12 minutes with patties this thick.
Okay, how long per side? 5, 6?
5, 6. I only turn them once. So
Okay.
important part of this process right here, Hobart, is to make sure you just leave them alone for 5 or 6 minutes.
Looks like you're ready to turn them.
Yep, we're going to flip them here, Hobart.
I can see it release, which was what you were talking about. See nice grill marks and release on it. It's a good indication of the right time to flip it, I guess, Eric, because you can see the moisture content starting to come out a little beyond halfway, which is what you were looking for it to be halfway done. So we'll get a chance to turn it over.
It's a great visual aid for
Yes,
you.
it is. Oh, and look at the color presentation in that. You've got the grill marks, you've got the pink from the salmon, you've got red from the peppers, the green from the onions.
They're very colorful. They really are.
Everything is in there, and it's got to be healthy. Got to be healthy. So you said those look about ready, Eric. Let's get them
they
on.
look great, Hobart. I melted some cheese over one of them for those that like cheese on their burgers.
And
And
the other
then
one
we
is
have the-
put the plain Jane one on there, and we've got one with cheese, one without. Put tops on them, and we've got salmon burgers. I'm going to put those down so I can get a bite of this because I know it's going to be as good as it looks. Oh, Eric, and you don't get to eat one either, do you?
It's all for you, Hobart.
Yeah, they are.
Here's the recipe for salmon burgers from the Seafood School in Astoria, Oregon, for you to try at home or the next time you're out camping. You have just experienced the smooth takeoff of a powered parachute, and a great way to enjoy the outdoors from up above. Sprinkled among the farmland in central Washington lies the airfield for six-shooter powered parachutes. Located in Wiley City, a couple miles west of Yakima, six-shooter is fast becoming a leader in this growing segment of affordable light aviation. During the Memorial Day weekend each year, hundreds of flyers, dealers, would-be buyers, and riders come together from around the U.S. for an annual fly-in. The only one of its kind in the country, the fly-in was designed to teach dealers and distributors the trends in the business. This turned out to be a great opportunity for Northwest Outdoors to catch a ride and take a closer look at this growing recreational hobby. Steve and Dee Roser of Gillette, Wyoming are six-shooter dealers here for the fly-in. They believe this is a great way for the family to spend time together.
A lot of families, a lot of husbands and wives have different hobbies. You know, the husband may be a golfer, the wife's not. Wife plays tennis, husband's not. This is a sport that we enjoy, not just as husband and wife, but as a family. We have 3 children, and the entire family is involved in this sport. Once we learned to fly, we've been taking our children with us, well, since July 3rd of '94. And it kind of builds some unity. It's not something where one of us leaves the house, goes out and does their thing. We do it as a group, as a family.
When we first got in it, there were not a lot of women in the sport, but more and more there's more involvement, and I think by women seeing other women in the sport, they think it's, hey, this is cool, I can do this too.
Flying a powered parachute is not complicated. Steve and Dee are certified FAA pilots and spend a lot of time bringing new people to the sport.
Okay, Denny, how you feeling about this?
Just a little bit nervous here, but I think it's going to be okay.
You're going to do fine. Okay, Denny, give me a big wave if you're ready to go.
It's okay, we're ready to go.
Come to me, add a little throttle, I'll watch your canopy for you until it's inflated and it's centered and it's overhead. I will tell you full throttle. Full throttle is all the way to the front. Go ahead, Denny, go ahead and start it up.
Okay, starting.
Okay, give me a big leg if you can hear me. Looking good, Jenny. Keep coming towards me. Keep coming towards me. Get the canopy up. Okay, looks good. Hang on, it's centered. Okay, full throttle, full throttle.
Oh, this is fun.
Okay, go ahead and fly the pattern, then come on back and do an approach, and just do a low flyby. You're looking good. Doing a wonderful job.
Okay, Denny, go ahead and set up again, and this time we're going to bring you in for a landing, so this will be a full stop. Good job. Go ahead and pull your throttle back, cut your mags, pull the canopy down.
There are a number of powered parachute manufacturers around the world. Six Shooter assembles their machines here in central Washington. Selling nearly 400 units a year, it has become a fast-growing industry. A ride can cost as little as $40, but if you want to enjoy flying a powered parachute full-time, plan on spending as little as $10,000.
Well, this is a new prototype. This is the Discovery. It's scheduled to be released later this year. It works like all six-shooter models. What we do is we incorporate a two-place airframe, so you have the pilot who sits up front, the passenger or the student sits in the rear. And the steering tubes are up on the front of the nose. What the steering tubes are, they're activated by your feet from the front seat. They pull the steering lines on the canopy, these red lines which go to the trailing edge of the canopy, and they cup that edge of the canopy to create drag to turn it one way or the other. Six-shooter powered parachutes, our most popular models, run a Rotax 582 dual carbureted engine. This one has an electric start feature on it. It's liquid cooled, as you can see from the cooling system. They have a gear reduction drive on the rear of the engine. And then we offer two different propeller options. This is a power fin propeller, a very strong propeller, provides a lot of performance for what we're doing, and we've been very, very pleased with it. All the lines that go back to the canopy are nylon. Each line is tested to 750 pounds. The front and rear seat occupants both have shoulder straps and lap belts. And in the event that, that there were something unforeseen happen, you're securely fastened into the vehicle. Nose wheel simply does that. It steers you on the ground. You steer it, on some of the models have a stick, much like older airplanes had, and also military aircraft. And this one has a steering wheel incorporated, or a yoke. This one also has electric start. It's one of the bells and whistles you can pick up. You have full instrumentation that keeps you apprised of what's going on in the engine compartment, and also has an altimeter and a vertical speed indicator. So quite a bit of instrumentation to monitor what's going on behind you. If there's an engine problem, this device tells you by turning the red light on. Very simple. We've soloed people from age 16 right up through, I think the oldest person we ever put in one of these was 81 years old.
Almost 40 machines came in for the fly-in, and traveling at about 25 miles an hour, most of the flyers make low flybys and explore the surrounding valley. No one today, however, will challenge the 17,200-foot elevation record set by Bob Gish in April of 2000. Dave Traylor from the John Day, Oregon area has spent many hours in the air.
I've had a great deal of fun with these things. Used them for quite a lot of different purposes, spotting livestock, wildlife, taking a lot of folks for training rides, photographers like you. We've had folks from Arizona Highways, National Geographic, London Times, German and French newspapers and magazines use these as a flying platform. cruising altitude on these is anywhere from 500 to several thousand feet, just whatever suits your mood. But they're one of the safest forms of ultralight flying. There's been a few accidents, but they've been because of pilot error and same thing that happened to you if you was riding a bicycle as far as that went. But no, these have a very, very safe flying record. There's probably about 5,000 of them flying in the country right now, and it's one of the fastest growing segments of ultralight aviation.
Powered parachutes are certainly a smooth and exciting way to enjoy the outdoors. Now here's a first aid quick tip from the American Red Cross on insect bites and stings for the next time you're outdoors.
Insect bites and stings can be painful and frightening, but they're rarely fatal. Here in the Northwest, we just have a few species to be concerned about: black widow spiders, rattlesnakes, and hobo spiders. These creatures generally live in dark, dry places, like woodpiles or under rocks. If you're bitten by a snake or spider, it's important to stay calm, keep the bitten area clean, and seek medical attention. Remember, keep the bitten limb lower than the heart. Bee and wasp stings are by far responsible for the most serious problems in the outdoors. An allergic reaction can lead to a severe breathing emergency and, if left untreated, death. For those who are not allergic to them, bee and wasp stings cause pain, itching, and burning. Some people swear by such backpackable home remedies as meat tenderizer or a poultice of a little baking soda and water. If a stinger has detached and remains in your skin, using a stiff card, like a credit card, and quickly scraping across the skin can help remove it. First aid for allergic reactions includes staying calm, helping the patient administer medication, and watching for changes in his or her condition. In allergic reactions, it's important that the patient is evacuated as soon as possible. When you're outside, it's sometimes tough to avoid encounters with bees, spiders, snakes, and wasps. But remember, these bites and stings are rarely fatal, just painful.
You can almost feel the power of 2,000 cubic feet of water rushing through these pipes. It's the beginning of fall in central Washington, and this is when the Tieton Dam releases its water from Rimrock Lake for irrigation demands downriver. It is also when river rafters come from all over the Northwest to ride the wild waters of the Tieton River.
A couple of things. We've got commands that are a forward paddle. We've got a back paddle. That is your strongest stroke on this river. That's what you're going to use to get off of something. So if Mike is on the back...
Sarah Myers of the Adventure Rafting Company of Wenatchee is one of many guides that take time to escort river riders down the narrow Tieton. The small Tieton only stretches 25 miles or so, but those who experience the whitewater here admit it has some bite. The water levels are only high enough from September to October each year to raft here. It has become one of the hidden gems of the Northwest during the fall. The Natchez Ranger District, who oversees the river, states it is not necessary to have a permit to raft the Tieton. They do, however, highly recommend going with a guide because of the extreme fast currents. Of course, in the Northwest, there are many outdoor activities to enjoy, from river rafting to hiking. We leave the Tieton and end this show with a short day hike north of Roslyn near Salmon to enjoy the fall colors and maybe pick a mushroom or two. Herb Schmidt and his hiking buddies get together each week for a day hike, rain or shine. Today is overcast with occasional rain, but that's okay. These guys just enjoy spending time together.
Today we have 9 members actually in our group hiking on this trail. We intend to enjoy the day and have a lunch and a fine conversation together. Normally we hike up at about the 6,000 foot level in the Cascades. We're down at about 4,500 to 5,000 feet. You know, it's always a great time to get out and hike on the trails in the Pacific Northwest.
Each member of this group has a specific interest in the outdoors. And when you're with a seasoned group of hikers like this, each hike can be a learning experience for everyone in the group.
Of all the beautiful shrubs and trees that we see in our area, the vine maple probably puts out the most vibrant colors. You'll notice the green bark on the vine maple, and the old woodsman used this as a pot hook because it's difficult to set it aflame. The leaf is usually 5, 7, even 9 fingers.
A popular activity in the woods while you're hiking is mushroom hunting, and fall is a prime time to go. Most areas do not require a permit for personal use up to 3 gallons. There are a number of identification books that can help you pick the right ones, or go with someone that knows.
I'm a member of the coral mushroom family, and it's people who eat those say all of those styles, which are easy to identify, are edible.
That's a really nice specimen. The yellow chanterelle. You see how the veins come down the stem? That's edible choice in all the manuals. And everybody in the world looks for yellow chanterelle.
You know, on our trails this summer, we've noticed a lot of edible plants, and one of the rules that I've always been told is the rule of blue always, red most of the time, and white never.
Yeah, I really agree with that. That's a good principle for mushrooms, which I'm interested in, because the white ones are very dangerous. You can't separate poisonous ones from non-poisonous ones.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what I would encourage people to do is when they're walking in the forest to watch for things, you know, identify trees, watch for berries, and
just don't be in such a hurry.
That's right.
You miss so much when you do that.
Sure do.
This is a beautiful time of the year right now.
It is.
Maple is just gorgeous.
All the foliage is turning, and it's not too hot for hiking, and it's really a nice opportunity.
You can go online with Northwest Outdoors to learn more about this show, 1408, Flying and Hiking. On the next Northwest Outdoors, head to Banks Lake in central Washington for some bass fishing, plus a lot more. That's on the next Northwest Outdoors. Funding of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Sports Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Redmond Sports Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout the Northwest, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By Kershaw Knives.